Hello, amazing artists. We are going to start our first art lesson for hybrid. You can see my camera here. This is where I'll be drawing. And then, of course, you can see our lesson on the side. And this artist, his name is Richard Hoedl. And we're going to be working with a color, shape, and space lesson today with him, making these really kind of funky, cartoon-like trees. You're going to pick whatever materials you have available that will work well, and you want something that you can mix together, ideally paint. If we were in the art room, we would be painting together, mixing our own orange, our own green, and our own violet. However, since we're not together, you have to use whatever you have at home. So oil pastels are fabulous because of the oil. They're really mushy and they blend together super nice. If you just have crayons, that's fine. These are the Crayola color sticks, essentially colored pencil, just doesn't have the wood around it. You can draw in marker, crayon, pencil. You know how we roll. We just use what we have available and we have fun. So we're working with our color theory lesson and we're going to start mixing colors today. We're going to mix primary colors to make secondary colors. Okay, here's one that I have done and I used oil pastel to mix it. Okay, so we're going to draw together now. And Richard Hoedl is a Canadian artist, and he loves to do these really whimsical, sort of dreamy like landscapes. Okay, you can see they're not real, kind of fairy-like as well. They have, the ground, and that could be anything, hills or land or water, whatever you want it to be, sky. And that could be a sunset, sunrise, nighttime, storm. We're going to draw the trees together in the first step, and then I'll let you be free as you color them. Okay, and we have a little guide down here that reminds us of our primary colors: red, yellow, and blue. Red and yellow make orange, yellow and blue make green, and blue and red make violet, or purple, as we sometimes call it. So we're going to do the drawing guide over here. So my paper is hamburger style. Okay, hot dogs are long and skinny, hamburgers are wide. So for vertical, if you were doing a tall, thin tree, but we're going to try to do 3 different trees because then we can get one of each of the secondary colors. It's secondary because you mix 2 primaries, get a secondary color. I'm going to try to do one in the middle and then a smaller one on each side. So if you have just printer paper at home, you might use a crayon or just a pencil. Pencils are always good because you just erase it if you mess up. I'm going to use crayon for this paper so you can see it better at home on the camera. Pencil's a little bit hard. Now, Richard Hoedl, the artist, used these organic shapes. Okay, organic shapes are shapes you would find in nature. They don't have a true, you know, geometric shape to them. For instance, triangle, square, rectangle, all those shapes we learn in kindergarten are geometric shapes. Organic shapes found in nature are more like a puddle or a cloud or a leaf, something like that. Obviously more natural. So we're going to go ahead and draw that with the guide. I'm going to start with my center tree. He's going to be the tallest. Making sort of a triangle, but I'm going to make sure I round it out more like a puddle or a lump or a rock. Okay, and then I'll go almost with like an ovally. You can do anything you want. Okay, there's no right or wrong way to do this because it's not real. It's sort of like a cartoon. Now I have my 3 layers, my leaf clumps, but I want to make a trunk, a tree trunk that's going to go down. So I'm going to start at the first one, make a line down to connect, but then I'm going to stop, okay, right there. I'm going to make one next to it. That's parallel because they're next to each other. And I like to go a little bit wider, okay, so it looks like the trunk's getting fatter. And then I end. Notice how I jumped over. I'm going to close that off with a little smile line. Every time I hit one of my leaf clumps, I jumped over it. Okay, so make sure you hop over. I'm going to do one on this side. This one's going to be kind of leaning out. You just get like really silly with it because they're just sort of these puddly kind of shapes. This one has a big clump of leaves. Whoa, and it has a flat bottom. So I'm just messing around. And this one's going to curve. So I'm making 2 curve lines. I'm going to sneak back around. Almost like an S line. and come back to the ground. Okay, you do whatever you want. Be kind of silly. Like these remind me a little bit of Dr. Seuss with the truffle of trees and things like that. This one's going to be a little bit more standard in size. So I'm thinking about some geometric shapes in a way, but more of like a puddle, things like that. So you don't want to be boring. You want to be silly and fun. And if you're drawing with me, then just pause the video while I'm drawing. So again, I use crayon, just a dark crayon. You use black, dark blue, purple, whatever you have. I use crayon on this because it's just printer paper. Okay, so I'm going to switch over. I have heavier paper, okay, that I started with, and I was mixing my colors. And the way we mix our colors is you're going to write on the paper, mix it up. And I like to use oil pastel because it blends pretty good. So for orange, actually, I'm going to start with green. That's a fun one. So I got my blue here, and I'm just going to shade. I'm going to put on a light layer of blue. Not too much, because blue is a lot stronger than yellow. My yellow is a little bit dirty. Sometimes I just wipe off the tip, or you can like kind of scribble a little bit on the side, make it clean. Be careful when you go near the black, because the black will smear in. I'm doing a light coat. You can see the white paper through it, and that's because I'm not pressing very hard yet. Now when I get my yellow, because yellow and blue make green, now I'm going to press down much harder. Not too hard that I crush through it. You don't want to be like Hulk, smash and bust up your crayons or oil pastels. Chalk works really awesome with this. Chalk is super fun because chalk pastels, you use your finger and smear it around. I'm getting this nice green, yellow-green color. And I want to be kind of neat. I want to stay in the line the best I can. I don't have to be perfect, but you spent time making those shapes. So if you color all willy-nilly, which is fun, you're not going to see those really nice shapes. So you want to be, kind of stay inside the shapes you created. So I'm pressing pretty hard, okay, doing small sort of circle shapes, and I get this really nice green color, okay, and that was just mixing the two. The next one I might do, now I turn my paper because being left-handed, I always smear it, okay, so sometimes it's easier. Again, I do a light coat of red. It's a little bit, almost looks like I'm using a crayon. And that's okay if you are. If your crayons aren't mixing perfect, you can always find the color you're making. Like if you're making green and your crayons weren't mixing, just find a green in the box. It's just a lot more fun if you mix it. Some kids like to do model magic. If you have color model magic or Play-Doh, you can mix it and then stick it on here. And then you have like a 3D tree, which is pretty cool. So again, I'm going to use my yellow. I'm just going to clean off the tip a little bit. Now I'm going to press down medium hard, not super hard, medium. And look at that. Look at that great orange color that I get. It's almost like paint. That's the nice thing about oil pastels. You can get them a lot of places too. So when you're out and about shopping, just keep your eyes peeled for oil pastels. You don't need really good ones. Any will work. Or chalk, like I said, or crayon, or colored pencil. Paint. Paint is the most fun to mix, but not everybody has that because you would need a thicker paper. You can't use paint or watercolor on this. It'll bleed right through. Okay. My last one, so we did yellow and red make orange. Yellow and blue made green. And again, if it wasn't the right green, I could just grab a green and fix it. And now I want to make violet or purple. So I'm going to keep my blue and my red. So red, yellow, blue, primary colors. You mix them together. This is how we make the colors of the rainbow. Okay, you need the primary colors first. Without these, you can't do anything. Now, these are both pretty strong colors, so I'm going to go with a light coat. I might even change it up. Do blue on the bottom here with red on top. And then maybe for these, I'll do red on the bottom with blue on top. See the difference. And I'm going to show you some tricks with this because violet is hard. It comes out really dark, even if you're doing paint. Okay, now I take my blue and mix it on top. It's a really dark color. It's not as purpley as you want, but you can see it in there. So one of the fun things to do is to either take a little purple and go over it, now lightly, I'm not pressing real hard, but then take a white crayon and smear it on top. And that blends it nice, makes it more like a paint. Okay, same thing. So you need both your colors. If you don't like your color, you can just get the crayon out or the oil pastel out and work with it that way. It's not always our favorite the way it shows up. Okay, this one is without the purple, so it's a reddish violet. Okay, and you see where I'm going with this. So I'll be working on that. The last thing I would do when I'm all done is draw a horizon line. Okay, the horizon is where the sky and the land meet, or the water, where the sun rises and sets. Okay, so the horizon line, horizontal. And I came across, and when I hit my tree, I jumped over it and continued on. Okay, don't draw through your trees, that's no good. Finish coloring, and then you can add some kind of really fun background. You could have a sunset, you could have a thunderstorm going on, you could have sunrise, whatever you want, sunny day like mine. Okay, and then the last thing we did was we took our oil, I was using oil pastel on this one, and I just went ahead and I thickened up some of the lines to really make it pop, and that's what gives it that cartoon look. Just be careful you don't smear it. It starts to get on your hands. Okay, and you don't want your fingerprints all over your picture. Okay, so this is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what you come up with.